Good morning, everyone. I'm Velshi.
And I'm Rhule. It is Monday, August 13th. Let's jump right into our top story this morning.
We have an exclusive interview with the former assistant to the president, Omarosa Newman. The White House official, former apprentice contestant, allegedly recorded her own firing by Chief of Staff John Kelly. We'd like to play it for you now, unedited, in full.
Hi.
Hi there. How are you?
Hi.
My assistant.
Could you leave this alone?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi.
I'm only going to stay for a couple of minutes. These are lawyers. We've got to talk to you about leaving the White House. It's come to my attention over the last few months that there's been some pretty, in my opinion, significant integrity issues related to you and use of government vehicles and some other issues. They'll walk you through the legal aspects of this. But there is some, from my view, there's some money issues and other things, but from my view, the integrity issues are very serious. I'm stuck with my past experience, and that is when we hold people accountable in the military, I compare what I see here at the White House and other issues that I've had to deal with and say, what would I do to this, in this case, if I was in the Pentagon dealing with a Marine or a soldier or something like that. And in the issue that you may or may not have a full appreciation for, but I think you do, this would be a pretty high level of accountability, meaning a court-martial. And we're not suggesting any legal action here. Just stay with me. Just stay with me. Yeah. That it would be a pretty serious offense. So with that, I'm just going to ask you, these gentlemen will explain it, and we'll bring a personnel person in after they talk to you. But just to understand that I'd like to see this be a friendly departure. There are pretty significant legal issues that we hope don't develop into something that will make it ugly for you. But I think it's important to understand that if we make this a friendly departure, we can all be, you can look at your time here in the White House as a year of service to the nation, and then you can go on without any type of difficulty in the future relative to your reputation. But it's very, very important, I think, that you understand that there are some serious legal issues that have been violated, and you're open to some legal action that we hope, I think we can control, right? So with that, if you would stay here with these gentlemen, they'll lay this thing out. And
Can I ask you a couple of questions? Is the president aware of what's going on?
Let's not go down the road. This is a non-negotiable discussion.
I don't want to negotiate. I've never had a chance to talk to you, General Kelly. Yeah, so if this is my departure, I'd like to have at least an opportunity to understand.
We can talk another time. This has to do with some pretty serious integrity violations. So I'll let it go at that. So the staff and everyone on the staff works for me, not the president. And so after your departure, I'll inform him if he gets interested on where you may be. So with that, I'll let you go. And gentlemen, if you could take it. Thanks. Okay. Yep.
I'm really sorry we're here.
And just this morning, Omarosa released a tape she made of a phone call with the president himself the day after she was fired.
Omarosa, what's going on? I just saw on the news that you're thinking about leaving. What happened?
General Kelly came to me and said that you guys wanted me to leave.
No, nobody even told me about it. Nobody.
Wow.
They run a big operation, but I didn't know it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Damn it. I don't love you leaving at all.
Hi, joining us now, Omarosa Newman, author of Unhinged, an insider's account of the Trump White House. That, of course, was not the full meeting with John Kelly. It was a 2-hour meeting. That's the tape we got from you. Do you have more recordings?
Oh, absolutely.
Are you planning on releasing them?
I don't know. I'm going to watch to see. They've been threatening legal action. They're trying to figure out, how to stop me. They're trying to penalize me because I would not accept the $15,000 a month deal that they offered me for the fake job on the Trump campaign. So I'm expecting that they're going to retaliate And so I'm just going to stand back and wait.
But you made the tapes because you thought, I'm assuming, that they would retaliate and say, well, it's her word against ours. What does it say about the White House that you would make those tapes? Do you think the president is taping people?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the president talked often, as you'll see in Unhinged, about how important it was to tape your enemies and to make sure that you had information on your enemies.
So more than just theoretically, though, you think he's actually taped people inside the White House?
He threatened Comey. We have to take him at his own words. He said to Comey, you know, you better watch out because, you know, he's insinuated that there might be tapings. And if he does, that would be a very sad day in America because that would be reminiscent of Nixon. But one of the things you'll see in Unhinged is exactly how he kind of unravels from day one in the White House and how I saw very early on that he wasn't really fit to hold the office of the presidency.
He's working hard to undermine your credibility. He tweeted this morning, wacky Omarosa, who got fired 3 times on The Apprentice, now got fired for the last time. She never made it, never will. She begged me for a job, tears in her eyes. I said, okay. People in the White House hated her. She was vicious, but not smart. I would rarely see her, but heard really bad things, nasty to people, and would constantly miss meetings and work. When General Kelly came on board, he told me she was a loser and nothing but problems. I told him to try working it out if possible because she said only great things about me until she got fired. What's your response?
You know, I think it's sad that with all the things that's going on in the country that he would take time out to insult me and to insult my intelligence. This is his pattern with African Americans, and he doesn't know how to control himself. He has no impulse control, and he doesn't have the tact for the presidency. It's actually really sad to watch him become unhinged, no pun intended.
If this was his pattern, is he becoming unhinged? You've known him for more than 15 years, and you chose to work for him.
You know, in 2003, Donald Trump was sharp. He was somebody that I aspired to be like. I patterned myself after him when I went on The Apprentice to try to, you know, win the opportunity to run one of his companies. But the president, he's different than the person I met back in 2003. He has some serious mental impairment. I'm not a doctor.
Can you give us an example? Can you give us we can only see from the tweets or what we see on TV, but from being inside the White House, from knowing him from back in The Apprentice and from being inside the White House for many months, what did you see specifically that would give you the assessment, this guy's unhinged, he's in mental decline?
Stephanie, first of all, he would say one thing in the morning, and as a part of the comm team, we would go and try to formulate a plan, a communications plan to implement. By that afternoon, he will have tweeted something without telling us, completely contradictory of what he said in the morning. And it would not help advance the policy that people had worked on for months and months and months.
Like what?
You know, we were talking about early on doing something to help combat the violence in Chicago that we have seen rise to levels that are just unacceptable. And at one moment, he's tweeting that he wants to do something about Chicago, and then the next minute, he's complaining about the Democratic mayor of Chicago and saying, just let the people die there. And that's not appropriate. And he has done nothing, by the way, to help combat the battle zone. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You wrote, page 217 of your book, that the change in him since his prime was dramatic. You use an expression to say the blade has been dulled. You talk about, on The Apprentice, there had been a mix-up on one of the episodes where a contestant lost money on a task, and they were discussing figures, and he was able to recall and calculate things. And then you talk about working on a speech with him where he can't sort of keep track of things. You keep telling him something, he goes off message. I want to talk about the Lester Holt interview, where you said that the team prepared him well. Then he went into the interview and he said what a lot of people believe to be the truth, that he fired Jim Comey over Russia. So was he being prepped to lie?
He was being prepped by Hope Hicks and the comms team to say that the DOJ had come up with this memo so that they could justify the firing of Comey.
So were you in that position too?
I was not. That was definitely Hope Hicks, press secretary kind of thing. But I was really, really surprised that he would implicate himself. That's when you know someone is mentally challenged, when they would even jeopardize their own livelihood by saying things that are just insane at times.
So if the comms team prepped the president to lie to Lester Holt...
They prep him to lie every day.
And in the end, he told the truth, What are they lying about? Like, let's go through. Has President Trump said, with you present?
Stephanie, let me walk you through. We would go into our prep for Sarah Huckabee's Sanders briefings, and there would be a cadre of attorneys coming in to help her formulate a response that was within the realms of legal bearings.
Is that why we see her reading responses so often?
Absolutely. Those responses more than likely are prepared by counsel's office in consultation sometimes with the campaign, sometimes with the RNC, sometimes with outside counsel.
But did you ever ask the question, why are we lying?
All the time.
And the answer was?
This is how they do it. This is the Trump administration at its best.
Then why would you stay there and work with a pack of liars?
Because right now, there is no African-American senior staffer in the White House. And there are issues that face this community that can't be ignored. They're making decisions about us without us. And I knew that if I left, that this community would suffer. And in fact, to this day, Stephanie, there is no one serving in the White House in a senior administration position, and they don't even care. They haven't even made an effort to fulfill my position. In recent history, we have not seen an administration without an African-American assistant to the president serving in the White House.
You recount all the nicknames that the president had for people, Benjamin Button for Jeff Sessions and others. Did you ever hear the president in his deliberations about firing Jeff Sessions or Jim Comey? Were you in on that decision?
No,
or Robert Mueller,
Thank
for that
God.
matter?
No, I wasn't.
So when you say it was your job to stay there, you wanted to be there to help elevate the African-American community. And since you left, that position hasn't been fulfilled.
No.
What did you do to help elevate the African-American community? Who did you bring in? If without you, there's no one else there.
So glad you asked this question.
Then
No one
please
has
tell
asked
us.
that question, Stephanie. So let's talk about from day one. Within the first day, we started working on an executive order for the White House initiative on historically black colleges and universities. I've attended 3 HBCUs. I went to Central State University undergrad, Howard University for my master's in doctoral studies, and Payne Theological for my ministerial studies. And so HBCUs was my passion. Within the first 30 days, we passed that executive order that helps 300,000 students at HBCUs all over the country. And then we moved into Black History Month, where I wanted to enlighten the president on these types of issues.
Frederick Douglass? That didn't work.
Unfortunately, in the event that I had to oversee, he thought that Frederick Douglass was still alive. The other thing
why
is...
didn't you say anything?
One more thing,
You
Stephanie.
really hurt your credibility when the president said that and you stood behind it.
Would you complain about NBC while you're sitting at this table out in public about the things that go on here? Because, you know, I've been a part of the NBC family for a very long time. There's a lot that goes on, but it's not proper for you to complain about your employer while you're sitting behind that desk.
No, but if
So
you don't believe in what they're doing, you stand up and you
Don't ask me to do something you wouldn't do yourself. It's not proper. There's a proper chain to do everything, and I did that. I submitted my concerns and complaints to the proper people. But to ask me to do something that is so, I mean, it's ludicrous to go and complain.
Well, Gary
publicly
Cohn
while
did
it's
right
just-
after Charlottesville.
No, he pouted a bit, but he stayed as well. And nobody's saying
He did
Gary...
more than pout.
But he didn't leave immediately. You know why he stayed? Because he was working on policies that he couldn't just immediately abandon. How many months did he stay after?
About 6 months after. You didn't leave on your own accord, though.
Well, no, I was planning to leave at the 1-year mark, and that is very well documented by so many people. And, you know, in some ways, General Kelly did me a favor, but can I just say one thing while I'm here with you? I'd like to get my personal stuff back. You know, I've been waiting for 7 months for the White House because I wouldn't sign the agreement with the campaign, and so they refused to give me my things. And so I'd like those 7 boxes of my personal items back from the White House without them being retaliatory as they are doing, because it's my stuff.
Before we go, you say that President Trump is a master manipulator, but he's also in mental decline. How can you be both?
You can be both. They're not mutually exclusive. You can actually have some levels of brilliance and have some semblance of mental decline, as we see in the president.
Omarosa, thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks for allowing me to be here. Thanks, Stephanie.
All right.
Thanks for your time.
Omarosa Manigault-Newman, we learned a lot of new information, which we're going to dig through over the next hour on Velshi and Rhule. Also coming